Just when you were having a dumb-free day, along comes Muslim apologist Zakir Naik to tell you about the scientific fact that if you eat a pig, then you'll behave like one.
And there is a scientific thing that you eat pig and you behave like pig.
Case in point, pigs are shameless animals that like to engage in mate swapping, which is exactly what Western pig eaters do after they go clubbing.
Pig today is one of the most shameless animals on the face of the earth. It enjoys seeing its spouse, seeing its mate have sex with his friend. In the Western countries, we have dance parties. After dance parties, we are swapping of wives. You sleep with my wife, I sleep with your wife.
If that sounds stupid to you, that's because it is. But after hearing this, I couldn't help but wonder, is there any foundation for this in the teaching of Muhammad? And what would happen if we apply the same line of reasoning to Muhammad and his revelations? And then it dawned on me. Muhammad taught that a person who eats camel meat has broken his purification and so needs to engage in an act of ablution or cleansing with water called wudu in order to restore it. In Sunan Ibn Majah, Volume 1, Chapter 67, Hadith number 495, we're told, "It was narrated that Jabir bin Samura said, Muhammad commanded us to perform ablution after eating camel meat, but not to perform ablution after eating the mutton." Likewise, in Sahih Muslim, Volume 1, Chapter 25, Hadith number 802, "It was narrated from Jabir bin Samura that a man asked Muhammad, 'Should I perform wudu after eating lamb?' He said, 'If you wish, then perform wudu, and if not, then do not do it.' He said, 'Should I perform wudu after eating camel meat?' He said, 'Yes, perform wudu after eating camel meat.' He said, 'Can I offer prayer in sheep pens?' He said, 'Yes.' He said, 'Can I pray in the area where camels rest?' He said, 'No.'" The apparent reason for this is because camels, like dogs and some other animals, are of and from Satan and the devils. Sunan Abu Dawud, Volume 2, Chapter 71, Hadith number 184. Al-Bara bin Azib said, Muhammad was asked about performing wudu after eating camel meat. He replied, "Perform wudu from it." He was then asked about goat meat, and he replied, "Do not perform wudu from it." He was asked about praying in camel pens, so he replied, "Do not pray in camel pens, since they are from the shayateen." He was then asked about praying in goat pens, to which he replied, "Pray in them, for they are blessed." As well, Sunan Abu Dawud, Volume 2, Chapter 24, Hadith number 493. Al-Bara bin Azib narrated that a man asked Muhammad about praying in camel pens. He replied, "Do not pray in the camel resting areas, since they are from Shaitan." He was then asked about praying in goat pens, to which he replied, "Pray in them, for they are blessed." And finally, in Sunan Ibn Majah, Volume 1, Chapter 12, Hadith number 769, we read, "It was narrated that Abdullah bin Mughaffal al-Muzani said, Muhammad said, 'Perform prayer in the sheep's resting places, and do not perform prayer in the camel's resting places, for they were created from the devils.'" In an effort to explain the potential reason or wisdom behind this teaching of Muhammad, Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah, an authority so celebrated among some Muslims that he's referred to as the Sheikh of Islam, said the following: Muhammad indicated that camels are of the devils, meaning, and Allah knows best, that they are of the type of the devils, because every stubborn, rebellious creature is a devil, no matter what animal it is. So the black dog is a devil, and camels are the devils of the Anam animals, a category that includes camels, cattle, and sheep. And there are also devils among mankind. So if a person eats camel meat, that may make him hostile and wild, and cause him to acquire some characteristics like those of Shaitan. The Shaitan was created from fire, and fire is only extinguished by water. So man is enjoined to do wudu after eating its meat so as to stop that devilish energy and suppress it. That is because the heart and attitude of man is changed by the food that he eats. The Sheikh of Islam says much the same in another place. If a person does wudu after eating camel meat, that will extinguish the devilish energy and will put an end to any negative consequences, unlike the one who does not do wudu after eating it, and he will see negative consequences. Hence it is said that because the Bedouin eat camel meat without doing wudu after eating it, grudges developed among them. And that brings us to how all of this is relevant to Muhammad. The Muslim sources tell us that Muhammad used to eat camel meat. For instance, in Sahih Bukhari, Volume 3, Book 47, Hadith number 2485 tells us, narrated Rafi bin Khadij, we used to offer the Asr prayer with Muhammad and slaughter a camel, the meat of which would be divided in 10 parts, and we would eat the cooked meat before sunset. In light of this, it's hardly surprising when we read the following in the Muslim sources about what would happen to Muhammad when he was coming up with his revelations. Abu Hurairah says that whenever Muhammad received revelation, he was overwhelmed by trembling. Another account says he became distressed, foaming at the mouth and closing his eyes. At times, he snorted like a young camel. It sounds like someone had a healthy portion of camel meat and forgot to perform wudu. In another report, we're told, in tradition, it's stated that Muhammad said, I fear lest I should become a magician, lest one should proclaim me a follower of the jinn. And again, I fear lest there should be madness or demonic possession in me. After an accession of shivering and shutting his eyes, there used to come over him what resembled a swoon. His face would foam, and he would roar like a young camel. Abu Hurairah says, as for the apostle of God, when inspiration descended on him, no one could raise his glance to him until the inspiration came to an end. In tradition, it's stated that he was troubled thereat, and his face would foam, and he closed his eyes, and perchance roared like the roaring of the young camel. Umar ibn al-Khattab says, when inspiration descended on the apostle of God, there used to be heard near his face, as it were, the buzzing of bees. So Muhammad the camel eater roared and snorted like a camel when he came up with his revelations. Since your behavior is determined by what you eat, and since Muhammad acted like a camel when receiving his alleged revelations, it follows that his revelations came upon him or occurred to him while he was full of devilish energy and had taken on some of the characteristics of Satan. That sounds like somebody you want to listen to. If, of course, you can get over the hump.